Welcome to the ThunderCast, your martial athletics podcast produced by the fans, for the fans, with your hosts, Russ Livingood and KD Hudnall. We're bringing you the thundering word on the thundering herd each and every week, so keep it right here. The ThunderCast is on the loose.
Thanks for downloading another episode of the ThunderCast. That intro may have said Russ Livingood and KD Hudnall, but it's the wrong intro because I'm here with Jed Horton, as always, on a Wednesday evening, and we're going to bring you 5 things, and we're going to take you around the herd. Jed, how we doing today?
Doing all right, man. Doing pretty good. I hope the listeners aren't too disappointed that Katie's not the one doing the 5 things today. But no, excited to be here, man. As always, with you in the midweek talking herd athletics, and man, let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah, and before we get into all of it, we got to get a word from our sponsors at Leasure Oliver PLLC. If you've been hurt in a wreck, call the law firm of Leasure Oliver PLLC. Find them at 304carwreck.com. All right, Jed, we have a little bit of a bonus again, and we are going to have your company, ignite.link, give us this week 6 things every herd fan needs to know this week. Let's hear from them and then get rolling. And now, here are at least 5 things every herd fan needs to know this week. As always, brought to you by ignite.link, the Tri-State's premier IT management team. All right, number 1, Carlos Del Rio Wilson was named as one of the Manning Award Stars of the Week. That is the second time, if I'm not mistaken, that he has been nominated for this. Had a crazy good performance at Georgia State. 22 of 27 for 321 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns through the air, added 97 yards on the ground. Just an awesome, amazing performance.
Yeah. And here's a great opportunity to put a little plug in for these episodes that you and Katie are doing outside of this one. I know those are the more popular ones, but listen to those breakdowns about that. I mean, I was listening to it just yesterday while I was driving, just breaking down, how he performed after watching the game and the stats and everything that you guys talked about, and just what a game. And what a performance from him. And so this, of course, is not surprising,
right?
After that performance that he had. So what a good season he's been having overall. And I'm glad to see him perform at the level that we've seen and know that he can perform at.
418 total yards, 3 touchdowns. Again, no turnovers. That's what we have been seeing out of him. Not 418 yards, but you get what I'm saying. All the touchdowns, none of the turnovers, and racking up some yards through the air and on the ground all season, with the exception of the last couple of weeks. He had the turnovers at Coastal, which were uncharacteristic, and then he was a little bit off, on the JMU game, but came back with a vengeance. Steve Cotton threw out that this was the first 300-yard performance since Georgia State when Cam Fancher did it. So Braylon Braxton did not have 300 yards at all last year. Neither did any of the other guys, Stone Earl that played, Pennington that played. And then, Cam Fancher was going back and forth a couple of different quarterbacks when he was here as well. The most since the Bowling Green 2022 season. So we had 338 yards passing in that game, but it's been that long since we've had 321 yards.
In that game, I think you guys even talked about it on that episode. I mean, and that game was a game that went into overtime.
Yeah.
So you had additional time to actually rack up that amount of yards. So, here's Carlos Del Rio Wilson doing this in 4 quarters. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it sure was. And we're going to keep it with football here as we go to number 2, Daytwan Smith, Wody, as he's known, came up with a scary injury in that game, but he was named to the PFF College National Team of the Week at the safety position. He graded out extremely high and was in the top 10 safeties in the country as far as the grades on, I think it was PFSN. So PFF makes him a starting safety on their team of the week as they look all across the country.
Yeah, no, that's great. Another accolade for our team, which is great to see. Also great to hear that he's, after that scary injury, that he's doing okay. So glad that it wasn't as bad as it looked at the time when it happened. So glad he's made a top 5. He's got an award, and glad he's doing okay.
Yeah, Wody's been here for a while, and he has been one of these the guys that is just a constant in the locker room now for the last 5 years, maybe even 6 when you mix in the COVID year there. But it's been a great career for him to be here for that long. You don't see that anymore. I don't know if you see a lot of that moving forward. It's going to be more and more rare. I'm glad that he was here. He had a big game. Got that interception, and that's just one of those that you like to root for.
Absolutely.
Number 3, we're going to take over talking about soccer. Marshall lands 3 on the Sunbelt Conference men's soccer all-tournament team. That is Joao Alves, Carl Romberg, and Gabriel Stevanato.
Yeah, great accolades for them. We'll talk a little bit more about men's soccer and around the herd and how these most recent performances have happened. But what 3 great guys to be able to get the award and being able to put up the stats and the performances that they've been putting up this season. So
yeah,
great to see those guys get the recognition they deserve.
Yeah, good post-season tournament for them. We did not get the results we wanted in the finals, but again, we'll talk about that. Number 4, we're going to talk about softball, the first pitch dinner. This is that banquet that they do to kick off the season. It's a great fundraiser. It's going to be on January the 30th, and it's going to be at the Dutch Miller deck. Montana Fouts is the keynote speaker. She was the pitcher at Alabama, but she's here from this region, and a national name that most recent softball fans are going to recognize.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic that they're utilizing the deck now that it's there, and they've put work into that. What a great venue and a great spot for things just outside of getting a great view and of a football game. So great to see them utilizing that venue for this. I think that'll be great, and a great keynote speaker. So. No, that's great.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of using the deck there as well. I mean, it's there now. It's a great view. You don't have to go. These athletes don't have to go out to Guyan. I imagine this will help save a little bit of money. I imagine that we were at least trading off something with Guyan, but that can't be a cheap venue out there. And you've got everything right there at the deck. So I like it. We saw the trying to think, not the scholarship dinner, the I can't remember, but it was with the athletes and everything for the scholarships that they have.
The endowment.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The endowment dinner was there, and it's good to see them utilizing things like this. I mean, you've got the John Marshall room on campus was about the only thing when I was in school where you would have events like this. And now you can be, for athletics, you can be right there in an athletic venue that's already set up really cool. And Montana Fouts, again, played ball. She was over in Grayson, went to East Carter High School, born in Charleston, West Virginia. So all around, this area. So people are going to be familiar with her from, Little League on to, her college career. Good keynote speaker, and they've had a good run of those since we've been doing this show. This next one's super, super cool. Number 5. The voice of the herd, Steve Cotton, was honored by having the broadcast room at the Joan named after him. It was a private ceremony. They actually tricked him into going up there, asked him to come to a meeting up there. And when he gets up there, they've got that, little plaque. They called it a roundel. Got that up there, and it's emblazoned, the Steve Cotton broadcast room. 30 years he's now been the voice of the herd. And I keep seeing this all the time. KD mentions a specific phrase, and I'm going to butcher what it is that he says, but it's something like the soundtrack to the memories that I have for Marshall athletics. Every play, when you think back, you hear it in Steve's voice. The call that he made. Great guy, great broadcaster, tremendous voice. Tremendous. If anyone watching this has never done what I have told you to do and go follow Steve Cotton on Twitter at Herd Cotton, you are missing out on that Sunday morning stats dump that he does after football games. So I really encourage everybody to go follow him. But really, really super cool.
Yeah, I love that. I saw that post and saw where they had that named after him, and in the cool montage in the back and everything. What a great guy. And I don't know him personally. I do follow him on Twitter, and the Sunday. I've met him a couple of times in passing and things like that. But what a great guy. I'm a little bit, just very ever so slightly younger than you, Russ. So growing up. Although a lot of times growing up, if we were driving, things like that, my family didn't really go to any of the games or anything like that, but we'd always have it on the radio. Mm-hmm. So as far as I'm concerned, for the course of my life, Steve Cotton is voice of the herd. I mean, That's the only voice I've ever known being the voice of the herd. So like all those famous plays and all those famous calls, I hear in his voice. So the way Katie put that I think that's fantastic. That's awesome. The way he put that. So, great guy. I'm glad they did that for him. I think that's pretty awesome.
Agree, man. Anybody that's met Steve, I mean, he's just a humble dude and everything, but he'll stop, take time, talk to you and things like that. I still think that when people tell him this, he's so like, he doesn't boast about it. He's just like appreciative that people say it, that you are the voice in my head when I think of Marshall athletics. Number 6 and our final thing. This was just announced right before we hit record. There will be a canned food drive for the men's and women's basketball doubleheader on Sunday. The women play at 4:00. The men play at 7:00. Got a little graphic here, courtesy of Herd Zone, who just put this out. But bring a can of food, and this will benefit Facing Hunger Food Bank, something that is dear to my heart. I've been dealing with them for a long time. My wife is on the board over there, so I know how much they utilize all this stuff to feed everyone in our region. Bring some food of the canned variety, non-perishable items over, and you will get a free doubleheader at men's and women's basketball.
Yeah, and they have a pretty wide Facing Hunger Food Bank. They've got a wide area that they cover too. There's a lot that they do. So these donations help and go a long way. So, and that's a great that Marshall's partnering with them to allow free admission to these games. So, bring a couple cans with you.
Yeah. Just you see our athletes of various sports going over there and volunteering a lot. Mm-hmm. So, we love to see that our athletes are doing that in the community. And food pantries from all over come up here and pick up food to stock their food pantries via Facing Hunger Food Bank. And then they have the mobile food bank that goes out to some of the more rural locations that are in their territory that they serve. They've got another one they've got here at Huntington, but they've got another food bank that they run up at Nitro. So it's not just here in Huntington. Like Jed said, they have a pretty wide territory of a place that they serve, and this is great. So yeah, bring several cans of food. You're getting a free game out of it. Just don't, bring the hominy that's been in your pantry for 5 years.
Right.
Buy something that's got a good shelf life on it. Take it over and get a free entry.
Yeah.
Well, Jed, that is yet another week where we were able to come up with at least 5 things, and that has always been thanks to Ignite.link, the Tri-State's premier IT management team.
Yeah, like we say, week in, week out, there's always something going on in herd athletics. There's always and a student athlete getting an accolade, whether it's grades or performing well out on the field, or an event that's happening to support our student athletes, and ways to give, ways to participate. And there's just always something going on. And if you're a herd fan, I mean, you can't be more excited than to be, especially if you live local, because there's just so much that you can participate in outside of just going to a basketball game or just going to a football game. So yeah. It's fantastic, man. Well, let's go ahead and jump and take it around the herd. What do you say?
Yep. Thanks to Layer 1 Solutions. And now, Layer 1 Solutions, your experts in business connectivity infrastructure, takes you around the herd.
We're going to start with volleyball. Lost both matches 3-1 against Southern Miss to end their regular season.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this last week. This was an opportunity that they had to hopefully notch a couple more in the win column. Just couldn't get it done. Couldn't get it done. They did get the 5th seed in the East for the Sun Belt tournament, and they will face the 4th seed in the West, Troy, on Thursday at 5:30 p.m. And if they win that, then they will face JMU on Friday at 5:30.
Yeah, be nice to see them make a run here, kind of like women's basketball did in last year's tournament at the end of the year. Give them some momentum going in to next season. But they face Troy, 4th seed, and if they get past them, they're going up against a really good James Madison team that got a bye. So like to see how we can do. You can watch this on ESPN Plus and cheer them on, hopefully for a round or two. That they make a dent. If not, why not? Just like Jake Taylor says, win the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, and you never know come tournament time.
That's right.
One of the things we always talk about, whether it's in our kids' sports, with my kids playing soccer and things like that, and this applies to high school, middle school, all the way up through colleges, it's hard to beat a team 3 times,
Mm-hmm.
when especially if you play them twice in the regular season, or you're just playing once in the regular season, because that team then is able to adapt to the way that you play. They understand the way that you play and those weaknesses. That's why come tournament time, sometimes it's a crapshoot. Just because you beat somebody before doesn't mean you're going to beat them again. So I would love to see volleyball at least notch a win, get against JMU, put up a good fight, heck, win it. Looking forward to seeing what they can do as part of the Sun Belt tournament, and of course cheer them on.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and jump right on into swim and dive. They will be participating in the Miami Invitational the rest of this week. I think we discussed this last week in Around the Herd. Come this time next week, we'll have the results to that invitational, and we'll discuss those more in depth. And I have a feeling we may have somebody make it into the 5 Things Every Herd fan needs to know.
Yeah, I get that feeling. And last week I mentioned that I didn't know, how this was going to go if we were only participating, one of these days or something like that, and the meet was an entire 5 days, or if we were going to be swimming all 5 days, 4 days, whatever. So I now have the schedule up, and I want to let everybody know that you're going to have a Ouachita Baptist, Miami, Ohio, the host team, Marshall, us, Indiana State, Valpo, IU Indy, OUAC, I don't know who that is, Notre Dame, and Illinois State. So that's why it's spread out over so many days, because there are just so many different schools that will be participating. And here's the meet schedule. On Wednesday at 5:30, 800 freestyle relay. Thursday prelims are at 10 a.m. The finals are at 5:30. Here's those events: 500 meter freestyle, 200 meter individual medley, 50 meter freestyle, 3-meter diving, and 400 medley relay. Friday prelims, again, 10 a.m., 5:30 are the finals. 100 meter butterfly, 400 meter individual medley, 200 freestyle, 100 backstroke, 100 breaststroke, 1-meter diving, 200 medley relay. And then Saturday, again, prelims are at 10, finals at 5:30, 200 backstroke, 100 freestyle, 200 breaststroke, 200 butterfly, your platform diving, and finally 400 meter freestyle relay. So, Jed, what this does, breaking these up, how much have we talked about our athletes that are doing the multiple events and how tiring it may be? This could give them a lot more rest and everything, and they can get more locked in on the event or events that they are swimming or diving in that day.
Right, absolutely. And so you could see, a couple personal bests in events, especially if a swimmer is participating in those, those short sprints, the relays or the longer ones, not having them back to back to back. We're trying to do it all within a day or two. So, you could see some maybe better times, things like that. I wouldn't be surprised to see that, just like you mentioned, having that rest period. So, come check in next week, and we'll have the results of that, and we'll discuss it more in depth.
Yeah, all of those are showing that they're on ESPN Plus, by the way. So just keep an eye out for that. I am trying to look and see if I can see it here, because this is it's 5:48 p.m. as we record this, and the first event should be on right now. But I'm trying to look and see if I can find it.
While you do that, I'm going to go ahead and jump on over to cross country. The men finished 19th as a team, and the women finished 21st in the NCAA regionals last week. We had 8 athletes set personal records in their races.
Yeah, 8 different people, and this is after the Sun Belt Conference Championship. This is in the NCAA regionals that they set this. I'm going to list off those 8 people. I'm not going to list their results, but I do want to say in the men's 10K, Justin Lipscomb paced the herd, and Hannah Weiler has, as she has done quite a bit, paced the women in the 6K. But here's who set personal records: Justin Lipscomb, Brady Dawkins, Maxton Sowers, Landon Brumfield, Connor Myers, and Clay Kelly for the men. And then for the women, Taylor Spencer and Maggie Froning both set personal records. That is huge in an NCAA regional that you're hitting these personal records. This was the end of the career for some people, those outgoing seniors. This was their final race. But we're getting ready to move in as soon as, I think it's in January. I don't think it's in February. I think it's in January. We're going to get into the actual track and field events. We just finished up the cross country season, so then we got track and field.
Yeah, that's great. That we talk about this all the time. Anytime we talk about cross country, track and field, and these different, especially individual type events like this, runners and participants setting personal bests or matching school records and things like that. So, like we keep talking about this, as we move into track and field, this is a program that got brought back just a few years ago.
That's right.
And here we are, kind of starting to, progress up and continue to do better. So that's what you want to see from your athletes and from your teams. You want to see that consistent getting better, setting those records. And I think we're going to see more of that as we move into this track and field season.
Yeah, and I'm going to see if we can reach out to Marshall and see about getting Coach Roberts on, the head coach for track and field and cross country and all that, and see if we can get him on to give us a little bit of a preview. Because, 2023 2023, I think, was the first spring 2023 was the first time that we had the men back, and that was just 2 years ago. It's been 3 seasons now, but 2 years ago, and 2.5. But we have had some people set school records. We talked about it, and then break their own school record. So I'd like to keep that momentum going for this season as well. Keep building on what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, bouncing over to women's basketball, lost to Kentucky 76-44 on Saturday at home. I wasn't able to go to that game, Russ. I did get to watch some of it on TV, and it's just you're facing a ranked Kentucky team, and it was we held our own for a bit in the beginning, but it was a little the team. I think the deeper depth and everything, that team just started pulling away.
Depth really gets you. I mean, when you're looking at an SEC team, now this is not Kentucky men's basketball that's viewed as a perennial blue blood. But for women's basketball, an SEC caliber, you've got the recruiting money, you've got the name, the athletes that want to play against that bigger competition. So they are going to recruit some of the best in the country. And in today's NIL realm, I'm sure there's plenty of NIL and revenue share money going around for women's basketball at Kentucky as well. So, I mean, you run into a buzzsaw when you play these teams. But I like that we played Indiana, and I like that we played Kentucky, because that's going to make us so much better when it comes conference time for the Sun Belt. You're not going to face anyone that was better than Kentucky. And then we had a 6-point loss to Indiana last week. Yeah. So I like it. I like the preparation. It brought probably some more eyes onto the Marshall program, so it's all good. But they did do something a little good after that game, didn't they, Jed?
Yeah, they did. I think this was, we need to go beat up on somebody because we were mad that we lost against Kentucky. So they absolutely destroyed Salem at home, 105-31 on Tuesday.
That is getting it done. And what I say about these games, my oldest daughter watched the end, and this was like when it was just in the 80s, and she came and sat down with me. I'd been watching the whole game, and she said, "I didn't know that basketball could score in the 80s." I'm like, "Oh yeah, honey, it routinely goes into the 80s." And she said, "What? That other team just must not be good." And I said, again, they are at a lower level than we're at. And it's kind of the same thing we're talking about here. The athletes that are going to Salem are not going to be the same athletes that go to Marshall is the same that, Kentucky's going to have better, as a general rule. And what that doesn't say, though, is you can still lose that game, Yeah. And you still have to hit your shots, and we hit our shots. So I don't care who you're playing. When you win 105-31, that's impressive. It's a 74-point win where some people do not score 74 points. So if you get over the century mark and you're hitting your shots and you're running them out of the gym, you're playing your game. And that's one of these things that, you just have to tell the other team, I mean, hey, sorry, we're not trying to run up the score, but we are trying to get our play correct and play how we're supposed to play.
Right. And when you schedule those collegiate games, that is what it is. I mean, both teams are there to compete and to play, not to be unsportsmanlike, of course, to your point, but, they are there to play. And just sometimes, man, when I played high school sports, I never got beyond high school sports, but I did play high school sports, and man, I've been on both sides of that myself. I've been on the receiving end of some of those, more times on the receiving end of it than on the giving end of it, and it's part of competition. But you get a couple chances to check them out again here as we get closer to the weekend. They're going to be hosting USC Upstate on Friday at noon.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can check them out again on Sunday at 4 p.m. against IU Indy.
Yeah, for those of you who do not have a job on Fridays, or you work a later shift on Fridays, or maybe you're already retired, or maybe you just have the opportunity to take a long lunch break, go in there. Those day games are some of my favorite to watch. I have been able, with being off work a couple of times, to be over for when the schools are there, and that is by far my favorite, when the elementary schools are at there watching a game in the cam. But yeah, a couple of opportunities to watch them, and again, don't forget canned food on Sunday, get you in for free.
Taking over onto the men's side of the house, they beat a tough Elon team, 96-89 last Wednesday. I was able to watch part of that game, and I thought we played well, played them tough, played them well. We'll talk about that one. We can jump into the game after that.
Yeah, so the Elon squad came in, and I think they may have been undefeated coming in, but they were a high scoring squad. They like to run, they like to shoot, they do pretty well at it. And we knew this was going to be a big game. You know, you might look at it, if you don't know, year in, year out, Elon is not one of the perennial basketball powerhouses. But any given year, you know, they could be up there. And this was one of those years that we thought it was going to be kind of tough. And it was. And we battled and battled. Little keynote from here is Van Komen, our 7'4" center, played at Elon last year. So little connection there. But yeah, 196-89, and shot pretty well.
Well, so came off that win on Wednesday, and then went on the road Saturday to Virginia, and we lost that one, 104-78. I did get to watch a good chunk of that one, and it's just they ran out ahead of us early, and there was no catching up on that one.
Yeah, they got up to a pretty quick lead, and after that, you know, it was 61-33 at halftime, which they were up by about that 16 to 20 point margin early in the game. You know, in the first part of the first half, we outscored them in the second half, 45-43. So we stayed right there with them, but it was just way too far to try to overcome. In that, our 3-point shooting was 7 for 24, and Virginia's got one of the better defenses in, year out in NCAA, and we had been hitting sometimes 14 threes, you know, double digits in threes and stuff like that. So had we shot a little bit better, or, you know, give all the praise to Virginia's defense, that would have made it a little bit closer. You know, you hit 3 more of those threes and go 10 for 24, and then all of a sudden, you know, that's a 87-104 game. Was that right? 104-78. Yeah. So we got down early, insurmountable, but again, we're not going to play anybody in the Sun Belt that's as good as this Virginia team.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And so this was one of those things where you went from playing some, I would argue, some tough teams to a team that's just, you know, we hadn't seen this year at that caliber and at that ability. So, sucks that we kind of got, spanked there. But like you said, in the second half, I mean, we outscored them in the second half. We took it to them and played a much, much better second half than we did the first half. So, some definitely positives and takeaways from there, especially on a team that's still trying to gel and mesh with all these new faces. So they get a couple of extra chances here at home again to make up for the loss here. They're going to be hosting Arkansas Pine Bluff on Thursday at 4 p.m. And then they will be hosting Mercyhurst on Sunday as part of that doubleheader at 7 p.m.
Yeah, remember canned food. But if you can get out tomorrow night, and well, you may be listening to this on Thursday. We might not upload this till Thursday morning. So tonight, Thursday night, if you can get over there, it's they moved it to 4 p.m. So if you can go to that before the soccer game, it'd be a good little evening of martial athletics.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as we move away from basketball and take it over to soccer, as we're now in the postseason and post-tournament play, the tournament ended in a win against WVU in the. Started with a win against the in the semifinals by defeating WVU 3-2, and that was last Wednesday at their place in what I can call what an exciting game! Like holy cow!
Yeah, we would score, then they would just score, and we would score, and they would score, and it was 2-2, and it was looking like in the final seconds, hey, this is going to go. This is in overtime. It's looking like, hey, it's going to go to penalty kicks. Because we had gone one full overtime period of 10 minutes, and you're getting ready, like, here's the second overtime. And out of nowhere in the box, there's a handball. And I don't care what any fan of West Virginia wants to say. It happens sometimes. It was a horrible thing to happen. You would want that not to happen. If it happened to us, we'd be crushed. So I get it, but it did happen. It was a good score. There's one guy in particular has been, he's not obsessed about it now. But one WVU fan has made that basically, 80 posts a day since then, talking about how, he has refereed high school and little league games, mind you, or don't call it little league, but youth league. Yeah. And he was telling anybody that would listen, especially us Marshall fans, that was not a good call. Well, buddy, it is. It didn't get him in the shoulder. It got him down closer to the wrist, really, on the forearm or whatever. And that's part of a handball. And we made the goal, man. We made the kick. So we won and moved on. However, the handball giveth, the handball become phantom in the next game. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So coming off that high of a win, we jump over back to a home game to host the Sun Belt Championship game. And we fell to UCF 3-1, and man, what a heartbreaker with that one. It got out of hand, and you can talk about it there too. But it got a little bit out of hand, and no pun intended. And it became too difficult of a task to overcome to bring this thing back to even, let alone try to win it.
Yeah, UCF's first goal was an absolute laser from pretty far out, and it was a great goal, taking nothing away from them. So as I am down in the ridiculously long line for the bathroom, I tried to go at the end of the half thinking, the line would be long or not as long, and was stuck in there forever. And a guy in like 3 or 4 spots ahead of me said, "Hey, now it's 2-0." And then he said, "Oh, it looks like they were offsides." The announcers are saying, because he's watching on his phone. And a lot of people that I know that talk a lot about knowing the rules said that should have not been a goal and it was offsides. However, they reviewed it. So they reviewed it and it was called a goal. So I have no complaints. If they review it and say, sorry, we looked at it, that's the breaks. It happens like that. So you're down 2-0. Well, then what happens is there's a handball, and they do a breakaway all the way down the pitch, and they get a third goal when it was a handball in the box, which means we get a kick.
We get a PK.
Yeah, we get a penalty kick right there. So you're looking at 2-0 with a shot of us equalizing it, and more often than not, I don't know the stats on this, but more often than not, you convert those penalty kicks.
Right.
And so that would have given us a chance to be 2-1 instead of 3-0, and then the ref just refused to review it, did not review it at all. Go a little bit later, we get our goal, which was great off of a corner, untouched, the Olympico they call it, and look at me with a soccer term that
I like it.
But there's another handball, and this one might have been even more egregious, and it was coming off of a corner, if I remember, and it hits the guy, and there's this actual stoppage. There's a stoppage, and the clock stopped and everything. It hurts you no way at all to just go look at it. Just go give the video a look and confirm what you think you already know. And he refused. And not only did he refuse, when the stands were chanting, PAR, 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 and they were chanting handball, handball, he comes over and gives the crowd a yellow card, for chanting. Dude, just do your job. Do you know how many yellow and red cards there were in that game, Jed?
One?
No. Yellow and red cards, there were 8.
8 yellow and red cards.
Yeah. Would you like to guess the ratio of Marshall yellow and red cards?
We got all of them.
We got every single one.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm not saying the fix was in, because that's loser mentality. But I am saying that, and I put this out on Twitter, if I'm a referee or any kind of an official, especially with what's going on right now in college and professional athletics, where people are being revealed to have been in mafia-related gambling rings, I erase all doubt and just say, hey, I think I'm right. I called what I think I called on the field, but let's go review it. Just, I would have had zero problem if we lose 3-1 and they reviewed both of those.
They reviewed those, yeah.
They reviewed them. Just review the damn things. Yeah. What does it matter to review it, especially when the clock is stopped for a long time? While it stopped, he could have went over and reviewed it. And he didn't. And it seemed like he was doing it just to spite. Is like, no, I refuse to review it.
Now, I'm not going to get off too far in the weeds here, because I have a great relationship with refs that we have in the leagues that I coach in. But ego goes both ways, whether you're a player or a ref, and refs are human, and because of that, humans do make errors. And sometimes humans accept that they make errors, and sometimes they do not. And again, we lost the game. It is what it is. We have to continue with how we how this goes. But no, I agree. I wasn't able to go to the game. Had something come up, but I was able to watch some of it, so I didn't see all the cards and everything. But I did get to see some of those goals, and I know that the camera angle wasn't at the right angle. And one of the things about that offside call too, and one of the things that I didn't go back and review, is the way the rule is stated. Now, this may be different in college. The way the rule is stated too is, since the keeper was coming up, offside is determined by the 2 furthest back defenders, which means you could have the keeper up and have a regular defender back, and it still be off, and it be offside, because it's the back 2, but we usually lump the keeper in there generally, because the keeper's usually the furthest back, and then you have your furthest back defender. Well, the keeper was running up, and when I watched it, you had an angle where it was so close to it being offside, even if he was onside on one player, if the keeper was pulled up, and I think he was just fully offside completely. And but it's behind the back 2 defenders. The furthest back 2 defenders, not just the one. So it looked offside to me. I know angles are important, and they probably don't have the camera angles, or didn't have the camera angles there either. And so they yielded to how it was called out on the field, what the line judge saw. But it's just a couple of things, man. Like, all that to say, go to your point. At least with that one, they reviewed it. but see, this review the call. Just review it. You've got the technology.
That's my only complaint. That's my only
Review the
complaint
call.
because I feel like UCF deserved to win that game the way they played. I felt like that,
they played lights out. Yeah.
I feel like that, at best we possibly could have come up with, let's send it into overtime if they would have reviewed those and it was handballs and stuff like that. Maybe it would have made it 2-2. But you have a chance that you could have won off of that. If who knows how the rest of the game's going to go when those things happen, but UCF played very well. They deserve to win the game. I'm not saying the ref cost us the game. I am saying the ref had zero business denying even going over and giving it a review.
Yeah.
I mean, take 2 minutes, look at it and go, Coach, I'm sorry. It's the same thing as what I called on here. I don't think it was a handball, And at that point I go, at least he reviewed it,
Right.
I may not agree with it, but at least he reviewed it. But
Exactly.
he refused to look at it.
Because sometimes it's the angles are bad, right? So like the ball comes in, and from one of our players' perspectives, it was clearly hitting the hand, but from the camera angles, the body's shielding it, and you can't quite get the good angle. Okay, well, guess what? You can't prove, beyond reasonable doubt, prove, without a shadow of a doubt that that's to overturn the call. And again, that's totally fine, but to just deny, especially a handball, handballs happen so fast in real time. A lot of times you can see them, but they happen so fast in real time that, a hand in the box, go review it. You can slow it down, look at it, and make sure. Because a lot of times when we see it in real time and you go back, and it's like, oh, no, it hit the shoulder, or his hand came out, but it hit him in the chest, that kind of thing. In real time, you see the ball in the hand, and you're like, oh, handball.
How many reviews do you see that are not even that consequential? That they go review something, but this is a handball in the box twice, which could end the championship game. It's not a preseason game. It's not a non-conference game. It's a conference tournament championship game, and you won't go look at 2 handballs in the box. And that, could have been a 3-goal swing, because they wouldn't have gotten the breakaway goal. That would have been called back because of the handball, and you get a chance to have a penalty kick there. That could have made it 2-1 instead of 3-0. And then, later after we have already scored a goal, and it could have been 2-2, that could have been a handball. We could have gone a penalty kick to win 3-2 instead of losing 3-1. It is what it is. We lost. I'm not bitter over us losing. I am mad at the ref. Whether we won or lost, he should have done that. He
should have at least just reviewed it. Yeah. Just take a look at it. It's the championship game. Just go take a look at it. It ain't going to hurt nothing. And even if you just pretend to look at it, just walk up to it and count to 10. Yeah, we're good. No handball. Like, at least go through the motions, man. But well, just because we did not win the championship doesn't mean that Marshall men's soccer is over.
That's
right.
Of course,
we did make it to the NCAA tournament. We were pretty confident that was going to happen. Unfortunately, we are not a ranked team or a seeded team in the NCAA tournament. But we are higher ranked than, or we were given the chance to host an NCAA tournament game. So Thursday at 7:15, we will be hosting Cleveland State at the Vet for first round of the NCAA tournament.
Very good Cleveland State team. This should be a very hard match. It's a heck of a draw, the bracket that we're in. By the way, all 4 Sunbelt teams that got in, or maybe it's 3 Sunbelt teams that got in, but however many that got in, all in the same side of the bracket or the same fourth of the bracket or something. And also Georgia Southern got snubbed, man, to not be in with their RPI or whatever they go by in soccer, that term. But what's done is done. It's over. The only thing left to do is beat Cleveland State on the way back to the College Cup. And I just say we do it, take care of business.
Yeah, exactly. And I won't make any other comments other than to say the Sun Belt doesn't get as much love in the soccer world and the college soccer world as it should.
It should, because it is one of, I mean, for years now, since they brought it back, it's been like one of the top three every single year conferences.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's second, sometimes it's first. But let's go make a run and do it. Well, Jed, that's all we've got for this show. We're getting ready to do a Twitter Spaces talking about the Big Green, so we got to cut her short. But thanks to Layer One Solutions for taking us around the herd. Thanks to ignite.link for bringing us, as always, 5 things every herd fan needs to know this week. And just like we say every single time, they've been with us since day zero. Thanks to Leasure Oliver PLLC, also known as 304carwreck.com, which is where you can find them. Thanks to all of our sponsors. But Jed, I'm going to take us out of here, whether you see us at the Jack, whether you see us at the Cam, or whether you see us Thursday cheering us on our way back to the College Cup. No matter where you see us, we're going to be saying, go herd. It's the Thundercast, and we'll see you in a couple of days.
Go Herd.